Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the first Shitbox update of the year 2021. Glad to be here. First, let me apologize for disappearing for the last few months. I have many excuses, like trying to figure out what the hell to do with my life, and my house keeps falling apart, requiring me to fix it on an almost daily basis. Or, it's just not that fun working in a cold garage by yourself, so I haven't been super motivated to get out here and really do what I need to do. But you know what? All those are true, but I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to make a plan. We are quickly approaching the 1-year anniversary of Shitbox coming to live in New York. January 21st, which I think is tomorrow, marks 1 year since we pushed Shitbox into this garage for the first time. I honestly thought he would have driven out of here by now. I'm sure most of you probably thought he was gonna drive out of here by now. But here we fucking are. So let's make a plan. Let's get this done. Let's figure out what we need to do to drive this thing out of here when the snow melts. Because plan A didn't work, plan B didn't work, plan C, plan D, none of them worked. We're on to plan who even knows anymore. But you know what? That plan, that one's gonna work. So since it's been forever, I figured I'd give you guys a quick refresher of where we're at, what we did way back in the year 2020, and what the hell I need to do in the next 3 months before the sun comes out and we can finally drive this thing on the road without it rusting to a million pieces. So with that said, let's take a look at this thing. So last year, one of the big things we got done was we put the new let's just forget that ever happened. This engine is good. We love this engine. We put this engine in here, engine trans. In 1 day, we freaking put this thing in here. It was great. Tons of progress was made. I did all new brakes, all new suspension, pretty much buttoned up the entire underside of the truck. It's got the newer rear end in it, new drive shaft, that's all good. The thing I was supposed to do this winter, which winter's not over yet, people, but the thing I was supposed to do that I really haven't been doing is wiring this damn truck up. Christmas break, Chris Wolf and I put the engine harness in. We did the easiest part. So the engine harness is in, it's all wired, it's run through the firewall, the ECU's in the truck. Got some other stuff done wiring-wise out here, but not a whole lot. There's a lot left to do. Another big thing we got to do out here is the brakes and the clutch. So as you may remember, I swapped the pedal box from the newer truck into this one, the master cylinder, the brake booster, I put all that stuff in. Turns out, the reach on the brake booster and the master cylinder, they're all different. This master cylinder, the new one, is a 2-port, the old one's a 3-port. So the hard lines and stuff don't really work. So this is kind of just floating around in here for now. I haven't really figured out what exactly to do with that. I either got to make up some custom hard lines, but then I don't know if the brake bias is going to be right, or I just need to buy another master cylinder and brake booster. That's for the 87. But yeah, I spent a lot of time screwing around with that. Other than that, started wiring the inside of the truck. So the wiring harness for the whole dash I have strung in here. I started getting things where they need to be, plugging stuff in. So that's coming along, but there's a lot of stuff in here that we don't really need, like the airbags and the climate control wiring and radio and stuff like that. There's a lot of things I want to cut out of here, simplify this harness a bit. Trying to get certain things to work with the old plugs from the 87 isn't really going to work, so I got to cut some connectors off and put the old connector on the new harness sort of thing for just little shit, like door switches and just a bunch of crap like that. That's coming along just slowly. The rest of the wiring for the engine bay is in here underneath the dashes. I really did want to use the new dash, but I tried to fit it in there 6 different ways. It's really not going to fit without cutting a bunch off of it. And at that point, it's just going to look like shit anyways. So I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to like paint or flock the old dash and put that in there because all the mounting points work and it'll just fit. But yeah, then we got to run like the rest of the engine bay wiring, the fuse panel, all that stuff's got to go back in. All like the connectors for like the lights and a bunch of shit like that. I have to cut off the ones from the new harness and put the connectors on the old harness on because all those connectors were different. Same thing with the fuel pump wiring harness. There's a lot of custom wiring type stuff that needs to be done still, which isn't really hard work. It's just not super fun and it's just gonna be tedious. I'll get it done though. It'll get done. I think that's most of the wiring. Other than that, I've just been trying to fit stuff. I mean, you might remember I had like a hell of a time getting the rear drive shaft to fit, trying out different lowering blocks and different rear suspension setups. That's pretty much done. There's a couple things that need to be buttoned up underneath, like some bolts that need to be tightened. Little stuff like the fuel filler neck isn't bolted down yet, mostly just because the plastic's too cold to bend it into the place it needs to go. Literally need to wait till it's warm out to do that. But yeah, I think that's about everything. I cleaned up a bunch of my parts. I tried to organize. It doesn't look organized, but I promise it's more organized than it was. Shitbox storage is overtaking the garage. So yeah, to start this thing, it's mostly wiring that needs to get done. And once everything's plugged in, turn the ECU on, check the diagnostics, make sure the ECU's gonna be okay. There's a chance it's not because it's not gonna see signal from a ton of shit that it used to. I don't really know what it's gonna do when that happens. Like, it's not gonna see ABS sensors. It's not gonna see the airbags. It's not gonna see the freaking emissions control stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we don't have. And I do have a backup plan if the CCU just won't freaking start the truck for some dumb reason. I'll just bite the bullet and we'll go standalone. We'll get an AEM or a Megasquirt setup and we'll just do a standalone engine management. I just didn't want to do that right away because in theory we have everything we need to make this work the way it is. But yeah, once the wiring is done, I know I've been saying this for months. I feel like a broken record just talking about the wiring. But again, once everything's plugged in, you need to change the oil in the engine, put some fluid in the trans, bleed the clutch, put the radiator back on, and this thing should start. I mean, it ran fine when we took it out of the other truck. That wasn't that long ago. Again, it has way better diagnostic than the old engine. I'm fairly confident that it's going to fire up and run just fine. It's going to be stupid loud because I had to cut the damn exhaust off to fit it in here, but I'm pretty sure it'll run. And it should drive. I mean, the trans was good, the clutch was good, everything worked. It just won't have brakes until I figure out what to do with the brakes. But that's a minor detail. I said we were going to drive it out of the garage. I didn't say anything about stopping once we got out there or driving it back in. That comes later. Baby steps. I think that's about everything. Not that that was a lot, but I think that's pretty much where we're at. What I still need to do, before the grass turns green and the sun comes out, which is like 3 months away, which sounds like a lot of time, but it's probably going to fly by. I also need to find a job. That's another story. We're not going to worry about that either. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at with Shitbox. I know this isn't a normal Shitbox update, but it's where we're at. Talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Wish me luck. Peace.